two of the world's most formidable nuclear-armed neighbors, and now again standing dangerously close to the brink. In May 2025, India launched an audacious military operation, Operation Sindoor, that shocked not just Pakistan, but the entire world. The conflict may have ended quickly, but the next one, it feels not just possible, it feels imminent. Welcome to Why is the next India-Pakistan conflict imminent? Let's unravel the story. On April 22, 2025, India was shaken by a gruesome terrorist attack in Pahalgam, Jammu and Kashmir. 26 Hindu men were massacred in cold blood. Within days, New Delhi pointed the finger directly at Pakistan-based terror groups like Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Taiba. And unlike in the past, this time India was not going to wait. On May 7, 2025, Operation Sindoor was launched. In just 23 minutes, the Indian Air Force and Army executed a textbook campaign of precision warfare. Rafale jets fired Scalp cruise missiles, Sukhoi 30 MKIs delivered hammer bombs, artillery rained Excalibur rounds, and loitering munitions hunted down Pakistani command posts. Less than 50 precision weapons were used, but those 50 were enough to devastate Pakistan's military infrastructure. Runways were cratered, radar networks blinded, and command and control centers destroyed. The Pakistan Air Force, proud of its legacy, suddenly found itself unable to fly, unable to respond, and essentially paralyzed. According to reports carried by the Times of India, the sheer effectiveness of these strikes forced Pakistan to request a ceasefire almost immediately. By May 10th, the guns were silent, but the strategic message was loud and clear. India had the capability to neutralize Pakistan's air force in under half an hour. But peace in South Asia is never permanent. Within weeks of the ceasefire, reports began emerging of infiltration attempts along the line of control and the international border. In June, Indian forces captured a Pakistani national guiding Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists into Kashmir. In August, a major infiltration attempt in Uri was foiled, but at the tragic cost of an Indian soldier's life. Newspapers from NDTV to Sunday Guardian Live reported a surge in attempts, with more than half a dozen infiltration bids blocked in just 2 months. Indian commanders admit the anti-infiltration grid is strong, thermal cameras, drones and constant patrols, but even then, 9 out of 10 attempts are stopped. That 1 out of 10 that succeeds, those are the ones that can change the course of history. And this is where things get dangerous. Because India has changed its rules of engagement. After Operation Sindoor, Defense Minister Rajnath Singh declared that any terrorist attack emanating from Pakistani soil would be treated as an act of war. No more excuses about non-state actors. No more separating Pakistan's army from its terror proxies. In the eyes of India, they are one and the same. That means the next successful terrorist attack inside India will not be met with dossiers or diplomatic protests. It will be met with military force. And that force will be far greater than what we saw in May. So what would such a conflict look like? Let's explore. On land, India has already begun large-scale joint exercises simulating rapid mobilization across both the western and northern borders. Armored divisions are practicing swift breakthroughs. Drone swarms are being tested for battlefield dominance. Across the border, Pakistan is conducting its own drills, many in coordination with Chinese advisors, focusing on asymmetric warfare and counter-air defense. Both sides are watching each other, preparing and rehearsing. In the skies, the imbalance has only grown. India has inducted more Rafale squadrons, enhanced its Sukhoi fleet with Israeli electronic warfare pods, and continues to operate the world-class S-400 air defense system. Pakistan, meanwhile, is struggling to maintain its fleet of F-16S, relying increasingly on Chinese JF-17S. During Operation Sindoor, Pakistan's Air Force was effectively blinded in less than half an hour. That memory still stings, and yet Islamabad is working furiously with Beijing to upgrade its radar network and to procure longer-range drones. But whether that will be enough remains doubtful. Now let's talk about the domain often forgotten in India-Pakistan wars, the sea. A naval conflict is no longer a distant scenario. India's navy, with its aircraft carriers INS Vikramaditya and INS Vikrant, along with nuclear-powered submarines, dominates the Arabian Sea. It has the ability to choke Pakistan's ports, especially Karachi and Gwadar, within days. Pakistan's navy, though modernizing with Chinese-built frigates and submarines, is nowhere near parity. In fact, analysts argue that in a prolonged war, India could impose a naval blockade that would cut off Pakistan's vital energy supplies and trade routes. This would not only cripple Pakistan's economy, but also put enormous pressure on its military operations. For this reason, the possibility of a naval front cannot be ruled out, and it would give India a decisive upper hand. But of course, looming over every India-Pakistan conflict is the ultimate nightmare: nuclear war. Both countries have nuclear weapons. India follows a no-first-use doctrine, but reserves the right to massive retaliation if attacked with nuclear weapons. Pakistan, on the other hand, has never formally committed to no-first use, and has openly threatened to use tactical nuclear weapons if its territory or army corps are in danger. This asymmetry makes the situation extremely volatile. While most experts believe neither side truly wants to cross the nuclear threshold, the danger lies in miscalculation. Imagine a terrorist attack in Delhi or Mumbai, traced back to Pakistan. India retaliates with precision strikes on terror camps. Pakistan, cornered and losing, threatens escalation. At what point does restraint give way to desperation? That thin line is what makes South Asia one of the most dangerous nuclear flashpoints on Earth. The geopolitical consequences would be staggering. Oil markets would spiral, global supply chains would be disrupted, and international diplomacy would rush to contain the crisis. China would likely throw its weight behind Pakistan, at least in intelligence and logistics. The United States, with its growing strategic ties to India, would support New Delhi while urging restraint. Russia, still a key defense partner for India, would play mediator. The entire world would be forced to pay attention. But here's the central truth. Operation Sindoor has already set the stage. It showed India's willingness to escalate and Pakistan's inability to sustain a direct fight. And now, with infiltration attempts rising, with every captured terrorist carrying warlike stores, the countdown feels like it has already begun. If even one group succeeds in launching a devastating attack, New Delhi's doctrine leaves no room for delay or doubt. The response will be swift, decisive, and overwhelming. And this time, it may not end in 23 minutes. It could drag on across land, air, sea, and perhaps dangerously close to the nuclear edge. The real question is not if, but when. When will the next spark ignite? When will the next infiltration succeed? And when it does, can either nation control the fire that follows? Tell me in the comments, do you believe Pakistan's infiltration attempts are simply desperation, or are they laying the groundwork for something far bigger? And do you think India's new doctrine of zero tolerance will deter Pakistan, or push the subcontinent into a conflict greater than anything since Kargil? This is geopolitics, unfolding in real time, and the world is watching.